Okay, Jane, are we ready in the front? Okay, colleagues? Okay, wonderful. Well, good morning. Today is Wednesday, March 26, 2025, and we'd like to welcome everyone to the board meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 9 o'clock a.m. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607 #. Audio capabilities are listen only and are offered on a best effort for the public. Our meeting is also live streamed, and you can join us online by going to our website. Live stream is also available at tctvonline.com. Click on live broadcasts. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute their phone. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute your phone when your agenda item is ready to be discussed. For those joining via computer, please unmute your microphone and turn on your camera when your agenda item is called. All others must remain muted with their cameras turned off. Thank you. Public comment. Those intending to provide public comment to the board may attend in person or email submissions to the public comments email on our website. Public comments received by 12 p.m. on Tuesday will be distributed to the board, posted online before the meeting, and become part of the public record. You may also provide public comment virtually by registering ahead of time. To register, please email public comments by 12 p.m. on the Tuesday prior to the board meeting. Public comments can also be mailed to the Board of Commissioners Office, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook, Oregon, 97141. For more information on public comment options, please visit the Board of Commissioners webpage. Do we have anyone signed up in the room, or has anyone registered online for public comment? No, we do not. Okay, perfect. Well, welcome, and I invite everyone who has joined us in the room to please sign the guest list. And I just want to thank you again for being here in person. It's such fun to have a full room. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Bell, would you lead us?
I will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. We have no public comments, and just a note that agenda items 12 and 13 have been postponed. So we'll start with item number 5 under our legislative agenda, which is a discussion concerning a certificate of appreciation to the Tillamook County Transportation District volunteers and staff for service to dialysis patients. And Commissioner Fournier is going to kick this off.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a few months ago, I went and visited Brian Petulli at the Transportation District. They're one of my liaisonships, so I wanted to go out there and see what good work they were doing. And one of the things that really impressed me is, as most of us in the community know, our dialysis center shut down April of 2024. And those are people that need daily drives, daily dialysis, and in this case, they had to drive out of county. And I don't know how many there were. Brian, do you know how many there are?
Anywhere between 11, 12, sometimes up to 16.
So up to 16 individuals that need every day some kind of dialysis. So I just thought that was amazing. He introduced me to some of the dispatchers and some of the drivers, and there's volunteers that are driving. I believe you know someone who drives.
I do.
And so I just wanted to recognize, and I'm glad you both totally agreed that we should do this. And so it's just a certificate of appreciation to the staff and volunteers of Tillamook County Transportation District for the service of dialysis patients. And I will let my colleagues speak because my allergies are keeping my head a little fuzzy.
Commissioner, would you like to comment?
I am delighted to be thanking you publicly for your excellent service to the community. It's tragic that we don't have a dialysis center in Tillamook yet. They're working on it, but when that happened and those people were displaced in terms of their medical treatment, you jumped right in and did the heavy lifting of figuring out how to get them there and home. And it means so much, truly. It means so much. And so I applaud your efforts, and I'm truly personally grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll echo what my colleagues say. You all do an amazing job, and in this particular case with dialysis, some of these folks literally would not have survived the shutdown of the dialysis center if it meant that they or someone in their life had to drive them. They don't have the resources, they don't have the vehicles, they don't have the capability. Some of them are wheelchair bound, and that takes a very special kind of vehicle. So even if you have a family member who says, I can take you if you're wheelchair bound, that just doesn't add up. So I get a little bit of an inside view to this with my husband being a part-time driver for the Wave, and he does a lot of dial-a-rides. He does a lot of transfers of those who are receiving dialysis. And so I hear those stories firsthand of the hardship for the folks who are taking that ride, and the importance of what you all are doing. And I'm going to add another thank you to this. There was a couple, I guess it was a year or maybe even a year and a half ago, when Empire Transit District shut down in Clatsop County very unexpectedly. And they also had medical patients who were, I mean, freaking out, for lack of a better word. And I know, again, my husband will spend, I think, 2 weeks up in Clatsop County every day driving medical patients in that county. And that wasn't something that the Wave had to do. That was not a requirement, but it's something that you as an organization said, this is something we can't not do. So I want to appreciate you for your continued response to community need, whether that's our community or whether it's our neighboring community. And again, the hard work that you all do. Medical rides they're not easy. They're not simple. It's not just, beeping your horn outside somebody's house and having them run out and jump in your ride and taking them there. It's going to their front door. It's getting them to the vehicle. It is putting that wheelchair in. It is strapping it down. It is the whole body of work. And your drivers do it with a smile. They do it with love and care. And I can't thank you enough for that. So appreciate all of you being here. Brian, would you like to say a few words, maybe introduce your folks who are here? We just need you to come up to the microphone and make sure it's glowing green for us.
Well, I just want to personally thank you for this certificate of appreciation, and it's truly a team effort. And the individuals with me here, we have Tori Pesterfield, Crystal Scott, Mike Reed, John Klein, and Kathy Bond. Tori works in our Northwest Rides brokerage, does a lot of the coordination with Crystal and Mike from the district side. So there's not only the dial-a-ride service that we provide, but also the Northwest Rides brokerage that we stand up. So the coordination between whether dial-a-ride takes the trip or our brokerage volunteers or veterans who also need dialysis care. We have different sources of money and a very complex coordination of everything. John is one of our longtime drivers, started as a volunteer, but has been with us for quite a while. And John's personally responsible, as Jim Scar is, for transporting our customers to Lincoln City or Forest Grove or Astoria, as you mentioned, well outside of our service area. But he does it with care and respect and dignity, and we can't do it without our drivers. So thank you, John. Kathy Bond is our finance supervisor. So Kathy keeps the pots of money aligned for how we pay for all of this unexpected cost and time. So there's much more than who's here in this room, but these are the core folks who help make it happen. So I can't certainly do it without them, and their efforts over the past year are just astounding. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate you. So we're going to pause for a moment without recessing. So the public who wants to watch, we're going to take a picture. So we would love to have all of your crew climb up, and we'll just line up in front of here and get a picture.
Thank you guys so much for coming in and for everything you do. Let's stand there. If you guys can get in the middle, we'll stay on the other side of this. And do you have a camera right here? Sure.
Some of us are short people, and we just kind of know our place in photographs. It tends to be. Are you standing up here?
All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay. This one.
Yep, that's Brian's.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
All right. Thank you all again very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. You do a great job. You're making so much work 24/7 based on the outlook issues. We never give breaks. So big Brian give you a vacation. Make sure that happens. Good. Good. Yeah, you definitely. Good for you. Okay. I know, right? But thank you for being here. The energy of people is fantastic. Thank you. Have a fabulous day. Okay.
We need to do more of those.
Absolutely. No, there's so much good work that goes on in our community, and as commissioners, we have the opportunity. You know, we do our presentations where people come and talk to us, but we haven't done a lot of appreciation. So, thank you for bringing that forward, Commissioner. We appreciate it. All right. Okay, so we will move on to item number 6, which is consideration of a designation of agent resolution for Randy Thorpe, Emergency Management Director, to act as agent in obtaining financial assistance from federal mitigation grant programs. Randy Thorpe, Director of Emergency Management.
Didn't know I was going to become an agent.
You are becoming an agent.
What we have here is a board resolution that is required now of our FEMA partners when we do any types of application for grants, and that's including our typical BRIC grant, flood mitigation grant, and these last grants we did that were tied to the post-fires and also the flooding. And it's the resolution just states that you are identifying an individual that is going to be the go-to person for that particular grant. It's not financial agent, nothing like that. It's just they want one person that's dealing with the grants that they know who to yell at when the paperwork's not put in right. So that's what we end up doing. This form is from them, and so looking at it, there's not a place for the commissioners to sign, just to approve the resolution, and then it's certified by the county clerk. And this is, like I say, this form is exactly what was on the applications that FEMA said that I forgot to send in. So
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any comments or questions?
No, we went over this last week, so I think we're all in agreement.
Okay, I think we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of a designation of agent resolution for Randy Thorpe, Emergency Management Director, to act as agent in obtaining financial assistance from the federal mitigation grant programs.
I will second that.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, and Randy, you are also going to carry item 7 for us, which is, surprisingly or not, the same thing. Consideration of a designation of agent resolution for Chris Laity, Public Works Director, to act as agent in obtaining financial assistance for federal mitigation grant programs. You can just say
Again,
ditto.
right, this is the same. Why we decided to do two is that it's important that the person who is the agent knows something about what's going on with the grant. And because Chris does quite a few grants that are strictly in his expertise, there's no reason to have just one agent like me to now oversee a grant that I know nothing about, which is not good. So we decided to go ahead and do 2 agents because it seems like right now the 2 of us are the main ones that are doing any type of FEMA grant application. So we decided to do one for Chris too, so he's got one that he can send off when FEMA requests it from him.
Perfect. Okay, commissioners, any questions?
Nope.
No?
Okay, I think we're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of a designation of agent resolution for Chris Laity, Public Works Director, to act as agent in obtaining financial assistance from federal mitigation grant programs.
Now, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. And we can't get rid of Randy just yet
Not
because
yet.
item 8 also has his name on it. Consideration of a joint funding agreement number 25YFJFA021 with the United States Department of the Interior, United States Geological Survey for water source investigations. Randy.
Well, I usually come before you and tell you that we're getting money. Unfortunately, this is one where we have an agreement with the USGS to maintain and take care of the river gauges that we have here in Tillamook County. This is an agreement. It's a cost share between us and them on being able to maintain those gauges, do any updates we need, any repairs we need. And so they've come up, it's an agreement we've had for a long time with them. It did go up again this year, of course, because of everything else going up. It's a line item that I put into the budget every year in contracted services, so it's not a surprise thing that we do because I know that it's coming every year. It's a great service that we have, and not only, it's been mentioned before that there's more people than just emergency people that like those river gauges, so it's really a good opportunity for us to take part of this thing and have those gauges up and running and have them repaired fairly quickly when there's a problem with them. So is there any questions on it?
Thank you. Commissioners, questions?
I don't have questions. I agree this is very important and has really improved our ability to respond to flood events, to know, to be able to see in real time as the water levels rise. And additionally, I just want to give a shout out to the Tillamook Bay Flood Improvement District because they cost share with us. They contribute to paying for this.
Thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up.
And I would say that fishermen like Bill here are probably grateful for these gauges as well.
Exactly. I was going to suggest they have an economic impact in addition to an emergency preparedness impact. I can tell you that fishermen absolutely watch them every day and they know exactly where fishing will be good, right? We're waiting for it to hit 6.5 and then we're ready to go. So, yeah, I think this is an important tool both for emergency management and, as well as economics. So, okay, I think we're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of joint funding agreement number 25 YFJFA021 with the United States Department of the Interior, United States Geological Survey for water source investigations.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Randy. We're free to leave finally. Okay. Number 9, consideration of a prevailing wage rate contract for construction with Pacific Fence and Wire for the Neatarts Community Park Fence Installation Project. And we have Dan Keyes, our Parks Director, who is sporting a tie and a jacket
Oh, my
today,
goodness.
looking exceptionally dapper.
That's all I gotta say.
And with us, Tim Carpenter, formerly chief. I was like, I want to call him chief, and it's not chief. What is his name? So, is it still appropriate? I wasn't sure if once you retire, if you're always chief.
You're always chief.
I'm like, okay, well,
Whatever you want to call me.
we're delighted to have Chief Carpenter with us today as well. Okay, thank you. So Dan, please.
Yeah, well, first of all, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to present this morning. I really appreciate it. You know, what's happened is that, just a brief story, is that this entire project was started way before I got here. And I have to, again, you know Tim already, but it was he and his group, consists of Susan Brown, Dusty Trost, as well as Lori Carpenter and Jay Easton, were the ones who realized that we needed to make improvements at that park. They spearheaded this. They did a lot of the groundwork before I even got here. An application, I don't exactly know what it does because I haven't gone through that yet, but they applied for TLT funds. They were awarded those, and they went out and solicited the bids, and here we are asking you to approve a contract to move this thing forward. I'm really excited because I've been here about a year, and this is really the first time for me that I can actually put something on the ground, and so that people can see and use and enjoy and appreciate. But I'm standing on somebody else's shoulders, and so I just appreciate the work that they've done. We have 2 items today, but they're both for the same project, and that is that the first one is about the prevailing wage contract for construction of the fence. And my understanding is that the fence will be taken down and then replaced. Essentially, I don't know how many, but the details that you really want to know, but is the fence consists of 5-foot high chain link, about 111 feet, as well as 248 linear feet of 10-foot high fence. And so what's happened is that in preparation for this, we're also going on the permitting road. I've been working with community development on this. Tim actually put together the plot plan. We sent it to them. They needed some changes. Tim again came to it, gave them the additional information that they needed. And my understanding as far as the permit for this is that the permit's been reviewed, is waiting for it to be paid, and then it'll be issued. So everything's coming together just like we need, and so we're really happy about that. For Pacific Fence and Wire, for the fencing, I believe that the amount is for $42,359, and what we would like to do is to make sure that this project gets completed by June 1st. So as soon as we, if we have the support of the commissioners, we get these approved, we're going to be moving on this right away to set up schedules and to get this thing moving. Is there anything else that you need to know about the fence contract?
Rachel, I see that you have moved your microphone closer. You were getting ready. Please.
I just want to thank Dan for his work on this. I was initially working on this when the NETARS came to the commissioners and trying to navigate getting the contracts in place and TLT funding. And then when Dan came on board at the county, he took over this project and has just been knocking it out of the park. So
Thank you.
great job.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. Questions, commissioners?
I don't have questions. I want to thank you both for being here and for your work on this project. We had on Saturday, there was a NETARTS Citizens Advisory Committee, and Chief Carpenter was there, of course, and Paul, because he lives in NETARTS. And we talked about this project and how helpful it was to have the NETARTS Community Park Association group come to us and tell us what you need. So thank you for that. And thank you for stewarding the park for all these years. It's really an extraordinary accomplishment that I'd like to lift up because a group of citizens have taken care of this park for years. And I wonder if the chief would like to talk about that for a second.
I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that has participated in this last wave of this project. We've been working on it for years, just trying to maintain it, and keep it going and keeping it working. And my wife, Lori, and I have always been kind of the push behind it. This particular instance, Jay Easton picked up the torch here and pushed this through the repaving and fencing project through. So that's on her. She did a great job. She was 2 years ago, we never would have said this could have been done. But it's nice to be recognized, but it's nice to have the park there too. So we thank the county for picking it up again and helping us with it. And we plan on staying involved with it. Our talking with Dusty, Jay has gone on other issues right now, but Lori, Dusty, and I are going to continue trying to raise some money for a new playground and one more phase of the project. So
Wonderful.
thank you guys.
Thank you. Listening to you guys just makes me think about the power of public-private partnerships. You know, because I'm very grateful for Dan's work on this and that we have TLT funds that we can use. And also, it's wonderful that the community is totally invested and takes responsibility, takes care of the park. So it's really dynamic. Thank you.
Well, as a NETARSan, I'm very grateful for this park. I take him as a good friend and a neighbor, so I've seen the work that him and Lori have done on this. I think people realize it was an underused park, but I think that's going to change once all these amenities are built. I think it's a perfect example of a public-private work. It's a perfect example of what we can do with TLT money, and this is facilities money, and this is exactly the kind of projects that we like to do and hopefully we'll do more of. I think it improves the accessibility of that park, and we actually going to have pickleball which apparently is a big
Ooh.
thing. I still haven't tried it. But it's apparently addictive and everybody loves it.
This is
So
the thing.
it is the thing. So I am grateful for this as well. And Dan, thanks for stepping up and
Of course.
thank you both.
Yeah, and I agree with my colleagues. This is a fabulous project, and it's one of those spaces where, people who often don't realize that we have all of these unincorporated communities in Tillamook County that people think are cities. There is no city of Netarts. It is a community of Netarts. It doesn't have a local government. We are the local government for this area. And so having a group there, the community group that is committed to this park to give us a partner to work with is absolutely fabulous. So thank you for that work. I'm excited to see the finished product here and because, yeah, that's a fabulous little green space tucked in there and with some great activities. So thank you for that. Commissioners, I think I'm ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of a prevailing wage rate contract for construction with Pacific Fence and Wire for the Netarts Community Park Fence Installation Project.
And I second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, we move on to item 10, consideration of a prevailing wage rate contract for construction with SC Paving Company for the Netarts Community Park Paving Project.
May I say so moved?
Oh, you may. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
both
very
for
much.
being
Very
here.
much
Appreciate it.
Fourth and prosper.
Yeah, go forth and do good things. Okay. Item 11, consideration of an order in the matter of the vacation of an unnamed alley in the community of Oceanside, Tillamook County, Oregon. Jasper Lind, Engineering Technician, Public Works. Good morning, Jasper.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having me. This is a fairly straightforward right-of-way vacation. It's a narrow little alley, 10 feet wide and 30 feet long that connects Maxwell Mountain Road to Rosenberg Loop. There are no utilities within this little alleyway. Any of the adjacent utilities are actually in the neighboring right-of-ways. It does not currently serve any access to a public resource such as the beaches or rivers, etc., and would be of significant advantage to the neighboring properties to vacate, both for their future building as well as their current structures. Public Works is in favor of this vacation. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions?
I have a quick question about vacations. Do neighbors get a say on whether, when this is happening? Is there a process? What's the process for vacation?
Absolutely. In this case, we have 100% participation of the adjacent landowners.
Thank you.
No, I'm good.
As am I. We have a number of these just sort of little easements and right-of-ways that have not been developed and will not be developed by the county, and so it's nice to be able to just remove the county's responsibility and piece of that and let the owners have access. So, okay, I think we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of Order 24-014 in the matter of the vacation of an unnamed alley in the community of Oceanside in Tillamook County, Oregon.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, items
Thank you.
12 and 13 have been postponed to a future date, so we will move on to 14. Consideration of modification number 2 to Personal Services Agreement number 6596 with Troop HR Inc. for the reclassification study. Rachel Haggerty, Chief Administrative Officer.
We are nearing completion of the job classification study, which is very exciting. The AFSCME job descriptions have been drafted and reviewed and approved by supervisors, and we're going through we're actively bargaining with AFSCME, so we're working through that process for employees to review their job descriptions, and then we will be wrapping this up. And then the non-rep and Teamsters job descriptions are the completion of those have been drafted, and the review of supervisors review will be forthcoming for those, and then employees. So for the contract modification before you for this study, in the original contract was for $45,100. In January, you approved a modification one for $11,275 for the addition of 55 jobs, which we didn't know needed to be in there. So there was an increase in scope and cost there. And then before you today is modification 2 which adds another $11,275 for an additional 10 jobs on top of the ones for modification 1, as well as collaboration between Troop and the county and HR staff around specific job descriptions that needed additional clarity or revisions. So the original request for this additional cost was actually, I think, around $15,000. And in trying to reduce the scope, because this is going over budget, we worked with Troop to see what work HR could do, which when I say HR, I mean Mary Jo. So we were able to bring that down a couple of $1,000s, which is great. There still is a net increase proposed for the contract. So Mary Jo has been doing a great job in working this into her schedule and accomplishing great work. So before you today is modification 2, increasing the contract for $11,275, which should be the last one because we are on the home stretch and HR staff are doing, part of this process has been training HR staff to do some of this work so we can do it in the future. So if there are changes that happen at this point, we should be able to do those, but I don't foresee any additional changes. So it's ready for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments?
None for me. I think we need to get the job done, and this is what it's going to take to wrap it up.
All right, Commissioner.
I would agree. I also would like, I think this work has been very important. I mean, I know that I've been hearing good things about it from employees. It was well overdue. It appears to be an honest, objective approach of really trying to figure out this kind of work. And I think it's great that, and I want to thank the HR staff who are working without a direct full-time director. They have an interim one, but it just shows how they stepped up, and they've been stepping up this whole time. So I just want to thank them as well.
Perfect, thank you. I agree with my colleagues, and for anyone who's not familiar with the process the county has been under, it is to review all of our job descriptions, which have not been done in earnest across all departments in anybody's memory. It has been started a couple of different times and not completed, so this is bringing that project forward into completion, and just employees were given the opportunity to review their job description and provide comments and feedback related to their job description and what they actually do on a daily basis. That was then incorporated, as Rachel described, by our consultants to bring those job descriptions up and to where they should be. HR staff being trained to receive that information and be able to do that job description work is crucial. What will follow will be a compensation review. Once we know for sure that we have all the job descriptions accurately represented, we'll be able to do a really good compensation review. So this is really important work. As my colleagues have said, it has not been done in a very long time, and we really want to make sure our employees are, their job that they do is represented in their job description, and the compensation they receive is appropriate and matched to that job description. So a big body of work for the county, but one that will, I believe, set us on a really good foundation going forward. And as we look at recruitment and retention of employees, we certainly hope that this really is a helpful tool because they will feel good about what they do and that it is well represented and compensated appropriately. So I'm excited to have this work completed. I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of modification number 2 to Personal Services Agreement number 6596 with Troop HR Inc. for the job reclassification study.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, that brings us to our final item, which is board concerns. Do we have any board concerns today?
None for me today.
And none from me.
I want to just bring up a topic quickly because I know at the board briefing this afternoon we have a full agenda with our budget philosophy discussion, and there's something I want to get on both of your radars because we will need to circle back to this in conversation. So I did attend the small table group for timber on Friday in Salem. And I mentioned this on the call yesterday that really what was determined is there is no revenue replacement that will come from the state. There was nothing that was identified. I tried to link us to the 6 funding sources they're looking at for wildfire and was unsuccessful in doing so, although we'll continue to poke at that and see if there might be a space. But what instead happened is there was sort of a pivot in the conversation. And there were 2 things that came out of that pivot for us to think about. One of them was there's not a different and new funding source for the state to provide to timber counties. But the timber counties, along with other counties, have asked the state to work with us to fund other things. And I'm going to use the CAFA as a really good example. Right now, there's a bill pending in the legislature that would increase the amount of funding that we receive to help support our assessment and taxation. It's called the CAFA grant. It's been around for a very long time, but it has not been increased. So the hope is that during this legislative session, that bill will pass, which is one way that counties will get more money from the state. So what the governor's staff asked us to think about is what we are losing in timber revenue is something that is unrestricted revenue that funds our general fund services, many of which are mandated by the state of Oregon, many of which the state of Oregon has a little bit of funding in. So DA was another one that came up, right? They fully fund the DA, but we're responsible for the assistant DAs and all of the operations related to that department. And so the thought was, well, what if instead of, some other funding source that goes to timber counties, what if the state stepped up and funded those deputy DAs or some other piece of that? So they've asked us to come back and look at our general fund and look at places where there is a natural partnership with the state already that we could see an increase in that partnership occurring. So that's a body of work for us to do as we go through our budget. I think it's a great time to be thinking about that and saying, okay, where is the state engaged, or where could the state easily get engaged without it being money specifically to the timber counties, right? Because that's not going to fly through the legislature, but potentially with some additional support, perhaps from the governor's office, we could get one of these other things funded. So that's one thing for all of us to be thinking about. And so that's one road. The other road to travel down that the governor's office was previously unwilling to talk about, but has now agreed in this pivot is something we should be talking about, is economic development. So in the community, we are losing economics in the fact that we are losing jobs. As we lose timber, we lose potentially shifts at our mills, we lose jobs in the forest. It changes our economy. So what do we need then as a county in order to develop our economy in a different area, right? What is our response? And so for Tillamook County, I think for us, there's an opportunity to look at economic research to determine, is there a new industry? Is there a way we should be going and investing in addition to what we currently do that could add a living wage jobs industry in Tillamook County? And the question for that is, can the state fund us for an economic development study? Now, that's just my one thought off the top. I will share that other commissioners, so in Linn County, they have lumber mills that have been closing. And their thought was, could the state help them redevelop specifically those lands? So I think for every county of the 15, it will be different. And I think that there are probably many things I'm not thinking about that you all both will think of in relation to if we were to ask the state to assist us. Probably it's not going to be like, here's $5 million, but it's going to be perhaps there's a Business Oregon program that we could get some priority in. Or so it's looking at the economics to say, currently, I believe it's 7% of our jobs in Tillamook County are in the timber industry, and that's just the primary. That doesn't look at any of the secondary impacts as those 7% may be reduced. But what else would we do here, and how can the state support us in developing maybe a broader stream of economic opportunity? So that's the other thing, and they're asking us to come up with those and get those back to the governor's office. We recognize that everyone is in session right now, so this is not a do it by next week requirement, but certainly something we should be talking about now through the spring and summer to be able to get to the AOC staff so that they can present something to the governor's office in the fall. So I just wanted to get that on everybody's radar as a thought opportunity, and something that we will come back to as we get, let's get through budget, let's get through the things that are right in our face. But I just always feel like it's helpful to have that in your mind because it'll connect things, particularly since we're doing budget now and looking at a lot of those pieces. So thank you. I just wanted to get that on the table for all of us. Are there questions before we?
No, thank you. That is interesting.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So, okay. Rachel, anything else for us today? No, okay.
Thinking on your last topic, I'm thinking of things around me.
Yeah, no, and I think that was kind of why I wanted to go ahead and bring it up, just because I think there is the opportunity. And I know for me, your brain just starts to connect things, and conversations that we will all have in the community and in the county itself over the next few months may spur things that otherwise in just a singular conversation or brainstorm we might miss. So, okay, we will go ahead. I will do the announcements. The commissioners will hold a board briefing on Wednesday, March 26, 2025 at 2 p.m. to discuss weekly commissioner updates. The meeting will be held in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 in the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook. The teleconference is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607#. With that, we will adjourn this meeting at 9:40 a.m.
This is non-signing.
Okay, yeah, those are the two for. Can you see out of your eye yet? You can. It's getting better.
It was getting better, and then it was.